welcome to Business with the Donos, where we talk about family, business, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jade Dono, and I'm here with my dad, Paul Dono. And this week, we are going to be talking about KPIs.
Key performance indicators.
Oh, how exciting.
Absolutely.
Do you want to explain to all of our listeners what KPIs are?
Key performance indicators.
Well, do you want to explain it in a way people might actually understand what that is?
So the KPIs are really, really important for business. And I would say for most businesses, pick 3 KPIs and monitor them on a monthly basis so that you know how your business is doing on a monthly basis. So KPIs that we do in One Accounts, we do gross profit percentage, we do net profit percentage, and we also do the ratio between staff wages and turnover. They're our main 3 KPIs we do. We have others on the background, but they're our main ones. They're the ones I really take notice of.
They're the ones you take notice of, but they're not the ones we actually share with the team on a monthly basis.
Aren't they?
No.
Oh, what do we share? I always get it wrong, don't I? They're the ones I do.
They're the ones you do to yourself.
Okay.
Which is lovely.
Indeed.
But we actually do tax returns completed month by month.
Oh, yeah.
Turnaround time of accounts.
Yep. They're good ones.
What else do we do? Oh, the amount of new clients we get in.
Yep. They're good ones.
Yeah. Didn't
Excellent.
know that.
I did know that, but I kind of, yeah.
Obviously, we need better communication on what our KPIs actually are.
Communication is good.
Communication is great. So, you said it's a key performance indicator, but, like, to people, why are they tracking stuff? Is it, like, to achieve a goal? Is it, why do they need to track it?
So, as an example, and we've had it twice this last week, and in fairness, James in the office has done a lot of good work on this. We've got some retail clients, and what we're looking at is how often their stock turns over. Mm-hmm. So, and why is that important? Well, if you have stock that only turns over twice a year, you're locking up so much cash. You've bought your stock, especially if you're a seasonal business, you bought your stock up front, you need to sell it, but it's just sitting there. You might, for argument's sake, spend £100,000 worth of stock, but if you're not turning that over quickly, you're not converting it to cash to buy your new stock to earn your profits.
It's just sitting there.
So a key performance indicator, certainly in a retail business that's selling a product, is how much their stock turns over.
Yeah.
And I would say, typically if we can get it to 6, that would be great. If we can get it to 4, in some of these cases, that would be okay. But even if we can get it even higher than that, that will be great. Which means that people are buying your stock, we know it's working, and we're making our margin on it as well by measuring the other key performance indicator, gross profit percentage, on what profit you're making on the stock. And at the end of the day, if you're not turning that stock, sell it, buy different stock, but convert that stock into cash. It's no good sitting there being dead money.
Yeah. And I think as well, you don't want to just be thinking of financial KPIs. They're really, really important. You should absolutely track them. But you need to be thinking of other things as well. So say you've, say on a month-by-month basis, you're setting these goals, KPIs. Say you, again, are working in a restaurant and there's one dish that you're not selling much of. Maybe that month you have a KPI to sell a certain amount of that dish. And you can also do things like customer satisfaction, making sure that your customers or clients are leaving good reviews, and maybe you have a KPI to get 5-star reviews every month.
Yeah.
That sort of thing as well are really important, not just the financial.
No, absolutely. But you go back to the restaurant, a really good KPI for a restaurant is how many covers. You know, how many people are sitting down and actually attending your restaurant and ordering food.
Yeah.
That's a really good one as well. Bring the covers up, again, brings the income through. I'm just laughing because we got Django, which is your dog, giving us a little bit of a running commentary in the background. So if you can hear him barking, he's got the hump because we've locked him in the kitchen.
So that he'll be quieter.
So he'll be quieter.
Ironically.
Yeah. So yeah, for those who are listening, that's Django adding to the podcast. So welcome Django to the podcast.
Oh, poor pup in the other room.
I think the problem is I gave him treats, didn't I?
You did.
And he wants
you
more
gave
treats.
him treats.
Yeah, freeze-dried chicken.
And he was being really good with the treats. And then I was like, well, we need to take him out so he doesn't bark out the window.
That's because I ran out of treats. So maybe a KPI for Django is how many treats it takes to keep him quiet.
Yeah.
There you go.
Probably a lot.
Yeah. But then we need to cut that down, don't we? Just a bit of training.
A bit of training.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Training? Who? What? So KPIs aren't just for them big corporate firms then. They're for all businesses.
Absolutely.
Big and small.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if things are changing, if suddenly your gross profit percentage, i.e. what you're making on your from your sales, has suddenly dropped, there has to be a reason for that. And then you need to look at that. And we spent a lot of time with a client earlier on in the year where their GP percentage dropped. And what we found was actually they were selling a different product within their range, and that was dragging their gross profit down. They actually were selling it at a loss.
Yeah.
They would not have known that if we hadn't have put a plan in on their KPIs.
Yes. No, they wouldn't
And we
have
hit
known
it.
that.
We hit it early.
Yes, we did. And that's really important because tracking these things, the reality might be different to what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So like one that we do, not that Dad knew, is new clients that we get. And Dad was like, oh, we haven't had any new clients, blah, 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 blah. And then I sat down and I was like, oh, we've had this many new clients this last month. And Dad's like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh. So sometimes you need to track these things because sometimes what you're feeling isn't necessarily the reality of the situation. And that can work both ways as well. Like you could feel really good. So I know we do like accounts turnaround time and we could feel like we're really smashing it with that. But then if you actually look at the KPI, it might be that we're actually nowhere near the goal that we want to be. So it might be that we're doing better, but we're not where we envisage ourselves to be. So it's really important to track, and I think it's really important to be really open with your KPIs with your team.
And me.
And you. I am open. I have a full team meeting every month.
Oh.
But you do have to attend those.
Oh, okay. I do attend them.
Do you?
I've been to all of them.
Have you? I think you're getting confused with the quarterly meetings.
Oh, I go to the quarterly ones, yeah. I try and go to the team ones.
Yes. It's easier for me if you're not there, to be fair.
Oh, it's nice. That's nice, isn't it? That is nice.
I don't get bullied.
Oh.
So I think as well with KPIs, I think they really bring focus as well to what you want. So if you've got a goal, say you want to grow your business by, I don't know, 10%, then your KPIs need to be aligned to that goal as well, so that you are tracking every month or every week how you are getting to that goal. So that's really important.
I mean, I know the answer to this, but, how does someone want to track that? How do they track it? What do they do?
Well, they can track all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of the software, particularly Xero, has that information.
Yeah.
We just need to set it up for the client on how they extract that and then how they can work it. And then we've obviously got tools for the clients we're working with on a more regular basis. We've got tools like Fathom that go into it, give us the reports, give us the graphs, show us the trends. Yeah. And it's quite important, not just on monthly trends, but on a rolling average trend, where we might have a little bit of variability, but actually our average trend over 12 months is going up. Mm-hmm. And we did that about a year ago with someone. And that was really powerful, particularly when they were looking at, with a third party, looking at their business, and we could show them that actually their average trend was going up.
Yeah.
And that's a useful tool, and obviously with us helping to interpret that in that particular client's case helped them a lot in some decisions they needed to make.
Yeah, and I think it is important to make those decisions, but also if you are growing, you need to know the whys as well, and that is where your KPIs for client satisfaction and team satisfaction as well. Yeah. And the KPIs can filter down, so you can have your main ones and you pick 2 or 3 really big ones that you want to track every week or every month, but you can also have team member KPIs that they need to be working towards as well, and that's really important too.
Yeah.
Because your team is what's keeping your business running for you, and you need to make sure you've got goals and accountability there, and the key performance indicators will help you keep on track of
absolutely
of where they're at.
Absolutely.
And one you said, which is really important to us, is turnover in relation to staff, because all of ours is service based.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
we need to know, how much money we're making out of each of our team members, which sounds really,
Yeah.
sort of cutthroat, but that if you're in a service-based industry, it's really important.
And what a lot of people forget is that while we're accountants, we're still a business.
Yeah.
We've still got to make money to be able to reinvest into everyone, to earn a profit for ourselves, and to reinvest that into the business. So, we're not there for the fun of it. We enjoy what we do. We love helping other businesses, but we are a business, so we are monitoring everything as well in the background.
Absolutely, and everyone should be really aware of what's going on in their business. And setting KPIs is a really good way to do that. So also, oh my goodness, Django's really going for it.
He is, yeah. He doesn't like it. Normally, Josh is at home, isn't he?
Yeah,
looking after him. I think
he is.
we need to make sure
Implement
that happens next time.
Yes.
So we learn every week. This week, Josh needs to be looking after Django.
I'm trying to fix the 1%, so this is the 1% this week is don't shut Django in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I might go let him out actually in a second, and I think he'll be quieter. To be honest,
I think he's been good background noise, really.
Is he? I think everyone's really enjoying that.
I can hear people chuckling.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. What you forgot to say, he is a cockapoo and he's bonkers.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is crazy.
Yeah.
But he's cute. He's really cute.
He does like freeze-dried chicken as well.
Yeah, which is why he's having a tantrum at the moment.
Not only do I mess up systems in the office, I mess up the systems for the podcast as well, don't I?
Yeah.
Excellent. Love it.
So with KPIs, Dad, what are you using to track them? Are you using Excel? Are you using a mixture of Excel and Fathom? What are you doing?
So most of our clients do have Xero. Probably 90% of our clients have Xero. The others probably have QuickBooks or they have Sage. Those reports, she's let Django out and he's now huffing and being annoyed. So they have monthly profit and loss reports. They have quarterly profit and loss reports, yearly reports, etc. They're really easy to get to, and if you don't know how to get to them, we're more than happy to show you. And they will show you where your trends are for your KPIs. Some of them have a percentage, and there is a way of getting the percentages, particularly on Xero, and I know the others do it as well. And you can use that, or you can, if you're a little bit au fait with Excel, it doesn't require a lot of work. You can just dump it to Excel and then work out your gross profit percentages and net profit percentages and the percentages of what other expenses you want in there. It's an easy process, and that's probably the longest-winded way. Or you work with ourselves. We use products like Fathom. There are others on the market, but we use Fathom. We like Fathom. And at the end of the day, with that will run the reports, and that will give nice reports on what you need there.
Yeah. And
the heavy breathing is not me, it's Django. He's literally by the microphone now, on the windowsill.
I might have to shut him out of this room now.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Anyway, with that as well, I think Excel is fine. You can track it on there, makes a nice little graphs. But we use tools like Fathom and stuff. And if you've got an accountant, it's worth asking them if they can help you get those KPIs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And I'm sure they'll help you. And if they don't, then you know where to go. Anyway, my next point is KPIs and family business. So, how do we have KPIs? Like, do you have KPIs for me?
Do I have KPIs for you?
Yeah.
No, because you'll just get upset about them. So, no, I don't.
Probably for the best.
And I don't have KPIs for myself either.
That's also for the best.
I treat the business as kind of it is our business. So the KPIs I use are what I use for the business. Do we have any specific KPIs for the family business? Probably not. It's more business specific and industry specific as well. So other family businesses that we deal with, we would look at their industry, and it's really important to look at your industry, and see what is, what works in that industry as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of specific for a family business, I suppose a KPI could be how many times you tell me off in a week. I really got told off the other day.
Why? What did I tell you off about?
No, so I go into the episode that we just moved to.
Yeah.
Kayla.
Yes.
Who we love.
Yeah, she's great.
She deals with my hearing aids. She moaned at me for not having hearing aids. That was good. As I walked in the door. I go into the office. Shay moans at me for making a mess in the office that she's just created. So maybe I should have a KPI on how many times I get told off in a day.
Yeah, I can have a KPI for how many times I tell you off in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure Excel's got enough power on that.
I don't think it's got enough cells.
No.
I think, though, with a family business, with stuff like KPIs, it's just important to be open and honest about everything, and that is how you get through it. Like, if you're tracking a KPI that like, say, I knew, like, Katie was accountable for, like, it's not good enough to just sit on it. I would need to go talk to Katie. Otherwise, it's going to ruin family time as well, because I'll be sitting on it stewing, and it's important to go talk to him. And
I think one of the KPIs that's not working for us at the moment is our marketing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've employed a marketing company. I think the strategy is wrong.
Yeah.
We've now agreed that the strategy is wrong, and our KPIs are not where we wanted them to be.
No, they're not.
So, that is specific to us in a specific area we've looked at, and as a family we agreed to go down this particular route, and we're now addressing that.
Yeah.
So I think, that's kind of areas where we need to be a little bit more specific and open about that.
Yeah, I think so as well. And, with this particular marketing company, they're doing like our SEO and our website. So I think the strategy was right at the beginning of the year, but now it's not right.
Yeah.
At this point with AI and whatnot, the money should be invested elsewhere. And that is the sort of conversations that, we're having. But, like, Dad came to this conclusion probably a month before me and Katie did, because we worked so hard to get a marketing company in the first place. So then to have to admit that Dad is right is not something we're all for.
I know you want to put this podcast on YouTube, but I think the listener out there probably can see my very smug face at this moment in time.
It's too smug.
I can't believe you said I'm right publicly.
I don't know, I can edit it out. I have those skills.
Okay.
And Katie, even more than me, was trying to hang on for dear life.
Katie would be going, oh no, Jade, why did you tell him he was right?
I had to phone Katie up and say, Katie, I think we've got a problem. And she's like, what? And I was like, I think Dad's right. And she's like, oh no, Jade. Doesn't happen very often, everyone.
And that's flagged because the KPIs we set haven't worked.
Yes, it is. And before because you have to give things like SEO a bit of time, and I think me and Katie were hoping that with a bit of, building, it would pay off. And it's just, it's not going that way, unfortunately. So, we've had to admit defeat. And that is the sort of thing you get in a family business. Like, you have to not only admit that you're wrong, you have to admit you're wrong to your parents. And that's no fun.
Well, we just sit back and wait for you to admit that.
Or your children, as you have to do all the time.
I'm not sure I've done that.
Probably not. Probably just stormed ahead anyway. So, all right. So what are your top tips for our listeners in terms of KPIs?
So the main top tip is to know your numbers, and that's a top tip we give all the time, and that's really going throughout our entire business is getting the clients to know their numbers.
Yeah.
Keeping completely up to date with your bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Often treated as a last thing. Once you've got all that and you've got the data, then you can do your KPIs, and you know that you're relying on current data and up-to-date data. There's no excuse nowadays. The software is capable of helping.
Yeah.
The support is there. We run a bookkeeping service to give that up-to-date service. It's not mega expensive nowadays. It used to be when it was all manual, but a lot of our stuff can be automated, and it is quite cost effective for people. And I would say get a really good bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's up to date. Sit down with your accountant. Look at your industry. Look at what works for you in terms of KPI. Discuss it. We do have a lot of knowledge, and your accountant out there will also have a lot of knowledge, would have dealt with a lot of different industries, unbelievably, this retail client we had the other day didn't know what stock turnover was in his industry.
No, well, you don't get taught this stuff, do you?
And one of my questions was, well, you go through a buying group, etc. What do they say? They come back with a really low figure, but they would do because they're the rep. But we now give the tools for them to challenge that type of person, and I think that's really, really important. And it's not the only industry that we've done that to. Buyers out there, and sales reps out there might not like us, but it's up to us to give our clients those tools to challenge.
Yeah, and I think as well, like finances and numbers completely overwhelm people. I think you're taught in school that it's really, really hard, and also accountants for years have made it seem really, really hard.
Well, it's a little dark art, isn't it?
It's like a little dark art in the background.
Yeah.
And in reality, if you understand it, if you make the time to try and understand it, it's not as hard as it seems.
Yeah.
Not the stuff like the gross profit percentage and the things like that, the things that you can track and understand about your business.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. And currently I'm studying towards my MBA, which is a Master's in Business.
Are you?
I am, yeah. I don't know whether I mentioned it.
Oh.
Anyway,
Did you get a first on your?
I did.
Yeah.
I did get a first in the first module. Yeah.
You never told me.
No. I really kept it to myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm doing the finance module now.
Are you?
I am, which I'm not
Does
an
it add up?
accountant. That's terrible. I'm not an accountant, so it's fine. It's a bit dull, everyone. But I'm in a cohort with a lot of other people, some business owners, and then also I've got a lot of people who are in the public sector, so people who are working for the council and the NHS. And so I've got, in this cohort are some really intelligent people, like people that everyone would say, like, if you're a doctor, you're very intelligent. Like, you think, yeah, they're really, really, really smart. And the finance module is blowing people's minds. And, like, all they're asking them to do is to do a calculation on gross profit percentage, which is, like, it's not a hard calculation. I think it's, like, dividing and then timesing by 100. Like, it's not difficult.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's not that difficult, but it is absolutely blowing people's minds because everyone's like, it's maths and it's finance, therefore it is difficult. Move that to one side and actually look at it, and you'll see it's not a dark art, and you can understand it, and you'll be fine. Like, it's not too bad. And that's coming from me who did musical theatre. So you take it from me, it's not a dark art. You can understand your business and you can understand your numbers. You might not be able to produce a set of accounts, but you don't need to do that. You employ someone to do that. You don't need to produce a set of accounts, but you can at least be part of a conversation that understands these. Yeah, you need to challenge. Metrics. Yeah,
you need to challenge.
Absolutely.
And understand. Yeah, you're right. Make that understand. We've got a particular client who does challenge a lot, and sometimes gets under your skin with the way they challenge. But they're only trying to understand what's going on with their business.
Yeah.
And it's our job to help them understand that and to answer those questions. And there isn't such thing as a daft question.
No, absolutely not.
How many clients have we had sort of in front of us going, oh, this is a really daft question, and I really don't mean to, sorry to ask this. It's not a daft question because it's it's causing them an issue, and we're happy to answer it.
Yeah.
And there might be some sort of what we feel is basic questions, but it's not to them. So,
And we wouldn't be able to do half of what our clients
can't
can
build
do.
a wall.
No, like
can't put a shelf up
people
either.
should ask questions, and we're all learning all the time. So ask the questions, But equally, like, I think this is a different point of view from your customer service. If within your business, also understand that your customers and clients don't necessarily understand what you do either, and to make sure that is coming across.
Yeah, that is definitely right. We do a lot of things that in the background that our clients are not aware of, and that needs to be communicated across. We work really hard to try and do that, but we don't always get that right. What we think is easy, because we've had years of training, and most of our team have got good qualifications behind them, and have had that training, but they treat it as an easy thing, and the client's not really aware that actually that needed quite a lot of work to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as well, with KPIs, my last little tip for that is to make sure you are involving your team, being really transparent.
Absolutely. And telling me.
Telling you. Yeah. Telling you the KPIs is always good. And to also review them regularly. And I think if you're struggling to pick what KPIs you want to track, just give us a message and let us know what industry you're in, and we can let you know 3 or 4 KPIs we think would be good for you to track. You can just message us and I'll give you a hand. So do you have anything else on KPIs you want to say?
No, I think we've exhausted KPIs.
I think so too. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now for our unfiltered minute.
Unfiltered minute?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I do have a bit of a rant this week. So my rant is at Company's House. So
my rant was at Company's House as well.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no.
You had a different
Have
name.
I got a different rant?
I think so.
Okay. But I am in a joint rant on this one.
Yeah,
this is a big rant.
This is really annoying. So for a little while now, we've known that Company's House are changing what they're doing. So now they're going to make sure that all directors of limited companies have been ID'd.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And we ID everyone anyway, because we have to, with as accountants, regulated accountants, we have to make sure everybody is ID'd and that they're, they are who they say they are. We have to do all that anyway. So we were like, this will be fine. Lovely. Anyway, Company's House decide they're going to email every single director of every single limited company on Tuesday. But they're not going to tell our software companies how we can actually upload the IDs or how we can actually have a process for this. And this comes in the autumn, so we've got time to figure this out. So this has sent the accounting industry into a spiral this week because everybody is like, what do we do? I've spoken to 2 software companies, both who are telling me that I need to go to the other one to do it. And I'm sure I'll get clarity. This is because they haven't had clarity from Company's House of what the API is going to look like for them to plug into it.
And the emails are just nightmare. An absolute nightmare. I mean, literally, just as we walked in here, we had an email from a client. Is this spam?
Yeah.
It looks like spam.
Yes,
the way it reads, it looks like spam. This client obviously doesn't read our loads of emails we put out and our newsletters that we put out telling people it isn't spam, but we're dealing with it. But they're just putting this stuff out. It's unsolicited, and it's an absolute nightmare.
Yes.
And we're having to answer clients who are saying, is this spam? It's not spam. But now that that's going out, there is more than likely going to be a lot of spam.
Yes,
so
there is.
It's just shocking.
It is, and it's just been a whole hoo-ha this week.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it. It's been a hoo-ha. And for our clients, we want to make sure that we can absolutely help as best that we can.
Yeah.
And so we are researching into exactly how we can do this on behalf of our clients. But
we're registered now.
Yeah, we are registered as a ACSP, something
whatever
like that.
it's called.
Whatever
But we're definitely a Company House approved accountants now. We can submit the ID on behalf of our clients. We can make that process more streamlined. And again, it's another service we can help our clients with.
Yeah.
That's because our money laundering regulations, we're monitored by AAT for our money laundering. So that has allowed us to register.
Yes, it has.
So it seems to be some people can be approved by HMRC, but it seems to be that this is the start of, proper registered, regulated accountants being able to provide a service that some may or may not be able to in the future.
Yeah, I actually think it's a good thing for
I think it's a
Companies
good thing.
House.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
been ideally a little bit of warning would have been nice.
Well, I think this goes on to my rant.
Okay, you do your
Because
rant.
my rant did include Companies House, but making tax digital. Rant number 2, love the our government. That's another rant. So clients now get emails. So property people and sole traders get emails to say you need to register at Making Tax Digital. Making Tax Digital is coming next year. You need to submit everything quarterly, etc., etc. We are now getting emails going, and we saying, well, what's going on? Have you got pricing for this, etc.? We haven't got pricing for it because the software companies have only just provided a service that we think is reasonable and can be cost effective.
Yeah.
You're
we are very much in the process of getting a service made up.
But yet again, they're getting these emails that are saying you need to do this, and without getting questions.
Yeah.
And it's just horrendous. And on top of that, to me at the moment, it feels like we're back at COVID.
Yeah, it does. There is one thing after another of regulatory change.
I mean, Rachel from accounts, she said the economy's shrinking. Oh, what a surprise. We've just put 15% on national insurance and dropped the thresholds. We're dealing with that at the moment. We're dealing with emails from Companies House. We're dealing with emails from HMRC that are all putting pressure on us as a business support service. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And we're having to get answers straight away when actually our software companies don't have the answers. HMRC and Companies House don't have the answers.
Yeah.
And we're expected to have the answers.
Yep.
So I just feel like we might as well be in the start of a pandemic again. That's my rant.
No, I get it. It has been just one thing after another after another.
Yeah.
And normally it's all fine. We are well aware of MTD.
Yeah.
We're getting something together.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come into play until April next year.
No.
So we've got a lot of time to make sure we've got the right solution out there. What we didn't want to do is get something out there to all of our clients and it be wrong, because that could have happened as well. And HMRC have pushed MTD back, 4 times?
Yeah. So we've been in this process a couple of times now. We've had to pull back on the effort we've put in.
Yeah.
We spent a fortune on a marketing campaign a couple of years ago, and then HMRC pulled it.
Yeah.
Will they pull it this time? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just seems a little bit relentless at the moment. And in MTD in particular, I know sort of Ian Phillips from Xero, when we did that thing, that course with him, some accountants are doing like a race to the bottom. They can do MTD for a price that we can't even touch.
yeah.
It's not going to be right. It's the files are not going to be right from account. You just cannot cost effectively do it. So we've got to get our pricing right as a business to give the service and the support that the clients need.
Yeah, and I think that's really important as a business, is to not always look at you've got to know what everyone else is doing, but to not always try and match it, because if you're not going to make any money, what is the point at the end of the day?
Yeah, and it's not right for the client. That MTD is there to there are probably a couple of reasons, and the cynic in me says it's to collect money earlier, but that's not on the cards at the moment. But I think that will be later on. But if small sole traders are having to do MTD, then they're having to keep their software up to date. So maybe they'll start to take a little bit more notice, and then maybe they will have better businesses in the future.
Yeah.
But only if they want it. A gardener, for argument's sake, might be doing their business to cut people's grass, tend their flower beds, etc. But that's all they want to do. They don't want to grow the business. They don't want to sell the business. It's their life, their lifestyle, and they want to do that. why on earth we're then chucking them on, software, and we're doing this, so you've got to report this quarterly, etc. That's not their bag.
No.
And they're going from probably spending £400 a year on a tax return to nearly £1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that fair?
Yeah, and also if you are a sole trader and you are just a gardener like that and you are listening to this podcast, be aware of MTD, because your accounting costs are going to go up. Whoever you're with, they're going to go up, because this quarterly reporting is 4 times the amount of work you would have had to have done before.
Absolutely.
And it's, you really need to look into to that. And we'll be putting out a load of information as One Accounts.
And no doubt we'll have a podcast on it.
We'll probably have a podcast on it.
We'll probably have another podcast on it.
And we'll probably have another rant about it, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, us keeping on top of these changes, we know that this could be an opportunity for us as a business. That's a good thing. But it's also, we just feel for the people that it's impacting. It would have made more sense to hit corporation tax first if they're making all taxes digital.
Yeah.
But that's not the way they've gone.
No.
So
50 grand turnover first year.
Yeah.
That includes property.
Yep.
30 grand the year after, 20 grand the year after. That's turnover.
Yep.
Bonkers.
If you have any questions on MTD and you're not getting any support from your accountant, again, just message us and we'll give you an answer.
Absolutely, you don't have to be a client. We're more than happy to help.
Absolutely, just message the podcast and we'll give you some help. Okay, so lastly, I have a listener question.
Ooh.
And now it's really important, if you're listening to this podcast and you have a question, please message it to me so that we can highlight it on the podcast and we can answer it. And if you do own a business, put your business name in there and I will make sure to plug that in our podcast too. So please send me questions. But this question is, and this was sort of out of a conversation that we'd had at work, so I've sort of framed it to fit the podcast. It said, how do I know if the changes I'm making in my business are actually working? So our last podcast, episode 5, was all about change. So this was like, well, Jade, I'm making changes, but how do I know they're working? Which fit very nicely into this podcast.
Well, I mean, the simple way is that the next time you have your meeting with us, we go, you've done really well, and those changes you made are working really well. So that's a start.
Yes.
Some people might say, well, actually, I've got more money in the bank. I've taken more money myself. Yeah. I'm getting better leads. I'm getting better quality work.
Yeah.
So these are all changes that we help with that you can start to see. And if you're going through our program, you're starting to see your balance sheet change. Now that's quite woo, he's talking about balance sheet. That's a dark art. But we're really working hard to teach our clients what a balance sheet is, what a positive balance sheet is. And we just work with them to say, right, if you make this change, this will make this difference to your balance sheet.
Maybe we'll do our next episode on the balance sheet. Because this literally, it confuses so many people. No one understands their balance sheet. Or some people do. I would say 20% of our clients probably actually understand what their balance sheet is. Everyone else glazes over when you bring up the balance sheet. I know,
and they all think about profit, but the balance sheet is such an important document.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that next episode because I think it's really important and I want to make sure that everybody can understand it in a simple way and not be overwhelmed by the confusing jargon and terms of phrases that's on there when it's not too difficult. Josh has just got home, which means Django is going to be noisy.
No, not just that. He hasn't cleaned that bird's poo off the top of your car.
Oh, he's going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah. So there you go.
He's looking at me.
We best stop there before Josh knocks on the door and Django goes.
Well,
bonkers.
Before we do stop, if you want to track the changes you're making, also if we go back to the original topic, have some KPIs.
Absolutely.
And then you'll be able to know. But anyway, before Django decides to go absolutely crazy, thank you for listening to our podcast. There he goes. Please subscribe, leave a review and share this podcast with a business buddy. Next time, Django will not be allowed in the podcast and we shall see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.